Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Please welcome Reva.
Hi, Reva.
Hi, everybody. I'm Reva. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Reva.
And I'm the baby. I have 23 years. So you're in for a treat to hear these esteemed members of Alcoholics Anonymous. But I'm honored to be here, and it's always an honor and a privilege to be asked to speak at any meeting, but particularly at AALA. Cathy was one of the first people I met when I first walked in the doors, and it's interesting that I'm sitting next to her. You know, my journey, when I was asked to speak on here, on this panel, I was told that I'm supposed to express my experience, strength, and hope about how I stayed sober for so long. And the truth is, it's very, very simple. It's the same thing that you already know. It's 1 minute at a time. And it's just don't pick up a drink or drug and, you know, work the steps, get a sponsor, be of service. That's it. But it's so much more. You know, when I walked into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, March 1st, 1990, I thought I was completely well. I thought my life was in control. I thought that I had it all together. And I thought that I was an honorable person that had high morals and, you know, was a great friend. And the truth is, I was none of those things. None. And when I walked in the door and I saw old-timers, or I saw people that had a year, to me that was an old-timer, I thought, I'll never make it. And so I'm sort of in a fog right now, because to sit on this panel and be here to express my experience, strength, and hope, I feel like, really? You know, I have something to say? And the truth is that I do have something to say. And what I have to say is that my life changed from the second I walked in the door. And it changed from the second that I walked into the door because I made a commitment. I made a commitment to myself, somebody that I didn't believe in back then. I really didn't believe in myself. And when I walked in the door, I thought that I could just read the book and graduate and get an A, and then I'd leave. Because that's how I'd done my life. That's how I'd done my life. And that's not how it worked. You know, it took me a long time to get humble. It took me a long time to be teachable. It took me a long time to be the person that I needed to be in order to hear what people that had come before me had said. And what they were saying is that you need to read the book, and you need to get a sponsor, and you need to work the steps, and that needs to be your priority in life. And I really didn't understand that, because my job, my friends, my life, my family, my hair, my whatever it was so much more important. You know, this was just another activity that I was participating in. You know, like I took dance, or I took an art class, or whatever it was I took. I thought Alcoholics Anonymous was just another activity, extracurricular activity, and that's what I knew growing up. You know, that's how I participated in life. I joined things. So when I walked in here, for me, it wasn't difficult to walk in, because it was like a club. You know, I saw you guys, I saw what you were doing. Yeah, I had a problem with drinking and drugging, but, you know, it was just another activity. Until I really got myself available in my own head and was able to really hear what people were saying. Not just listen in order to make a statement, not just listen in order to have a response to what somebody was saying, but to just shut up and just listen, which was very, very difficult for me, very difficult. So, you know, the way that I did that was I just did what you told me. I came to meetings in my first 90 days. You told me to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. I probably went to hundreds of meetings. You know, I couldn't work. My head was crazy. So I just went to meetings, and I was so scared. You know, you told me to show up early and to stay late and to go to fellowship. I did none of those things because you guys were too scary. You know, because I had to look at myself and look at my truth. Couldn't do it. So I'd come late or right when the meeting was starting, and I'd make sure that I left immediately. And then I sort of heard somebody say, oh, and you're supposed to thank the speaker. Well, you know, I thought, well, if the speaker's good, I'm going to thank them, you know. And my sponsor, which I finally got after 3 months, said, no. We thank the speaker because that's what we do, you know. And then she said, what service commitments do you have? And I went, well, I don't really have time for that because my job, my hair, my class, and my art. And she said, no. This comes first before those things. So when you go to your Monday night big book study, you go up to the secretary and you say that you're available for a service position and see what's available. And so I was really scared, and I did that. And the guy said, oh, our greeter went out. We need a greeter. Be here Monday night at 7 p.m. to greet. And I was like, that was the most fearful thing, because the one thing I didn't want to do was shake your hand. I didn't want to know you. Absolutely didn't want you to know me, because then you'd really see who I was, and I would have to see who I was. And you know what? I did what I was told. And so I showed up, and it was a big sort of rock and roll meeting, hip, slick, and cool people, and I had to show up and shake everybody's hand. And it was the most amazing transformation that I ever had, because doing that particular service, just reaching out my hand and saying my name, shaking the whole time, because I didn't think I was cool, and I didn't think I fit in, and these people seemed to know what was going on, it changed me, but I didn't know it at the time. But it totally changed me because I became a part of, and all my drinking was because I felt less than. I felt like I wasn't a part of anything. I felt different from. I could find all the differences. I couldn't find where I fit in. And when I started shaking hands at that meeting, something shifted for me. And I didn't know it, but my sponsor saw it. And then she said, you need to be going to a big book study, you need to be going to a step study, you need to go to a sharing meeting, you probably need to go to a women's meeting, and that's what I did. I just followed instructions. And pretty soon, I was having a commitment at many meetings. And all of a sudden, I realized that my life had shifted, you know, that Alcoholics Anonymous was becoming first, which was what I was told in the beginning. You put it first, the rest of your life will fall into place, you know. And over the years, you know, I was able to connect with a higher power, which changed my life. You know, I always thought that this was a Christian group. I'm not. And so I always felt different from. You know, one more time, even in here, I felt different from. And I was told by my sponsor, you know, if the Lord's Prayer isn't something that goes with what you were taught or your religion, you don't have to say it. But you stand up in the circle and you say your own prayer silently, and then you're connecting with people. And when I was given permission to do that, you know, my life changed again. And there was a period of time when I used to say the Lord's Prayer. I don't any longer because it doesn't go along with my religion, but I honor it, and I honor everyone who says it. You know, I'm part of the group. I stand up. I am of service. And, you know, I think that that piece of information of me being a part of, when I really took that in, Then I was able to let go of all my ego stuff, all those tapes in my head that are telling me that I'm different from, I'm not good enough, I don't know anything, I'm not smart, I'm not pretty, none of those things. That's where my head goes. And, it's not been an easy journey all the time. There's something in the book that says the road gets narrower. I didn't really understand what that meant. But I've been able to walk through amazing things in sobriety. I've walked through very close family members that have passed away and stayed sober. I've been able to come out of a hole where I was trapped after the earthquake in 1994, where I'm supposed to be dead. I didn't drink, I didn't use. I was able to tell them at the hospital that I was a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous and that I needed non-narcotic drugs. And my sponsor came and helped me pick out the menu. I was in Cedars for 2 weeks. People came and had meetings there. I never asked them. I didn't even know that people, knew me. That's how I thought of myself. I was 4 years sober when that happened. And, I've also had relationships and in sobriety. And recently, a relationship ended, and I thought it was, this one was particularly difficult, and it's very recent. And I thought because I was with somebody in Alcoholics Anonymous that was working a program that had a fabulous sponsor, and we had fabulous friends, and, I was back like a newcomer, and what I realized was that when this relationship ended, that God was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. I didn't get it in March when it ended because I got an email, that's just how it is. And I couldn't understand it, and I kept asking why. I'm sober this many years, I work a good program, I sponsor people, I do all these things. And my sponsor said to me, there is no why, it just is. And this is about the third step. And this is about you trusting that God is there for you no matter what. That you are there to learn, and that sometimes difficult situations are blessings. And I couldn't see it. And so I went to New York this past week just to do something nice for myself. I went to New York, I saw a lot of shows, I had a really great time, and I didn't have to think about anything other than going to a meeting every day, which I did. I actually spoke at Perry Street, which I didn't know I was going to do. It was great. People were great there. I was able to announce about this convention at all the meetings, and it was great. And then I came home, and I came home on Tuesday, and I hit a wall. And I'm sharing this with you because I've learned that we have to be honest in here. And the wall that I hit was reality. God gave me that time to be in New York, to just play. And now reality sets in. And the truth is that yesterday, I couldn't get out of bed. And that's okay. I didn't drink, I didn't use, I did the work from my bed, And today's another day. And I have to have hope. And the hope that I have is my connection to my higher power, and my connection to all of you, and my connection to the steps, and my connection to my sponsor, and my connection to being of service. I was told when I first came in here that this program is a spiritual program, and I didn't understand that. And I was also told that this program is that if you had to sum it up, that this program is all about love and service. I didn't understand that either. Today I understand that. Yesterday I loved myself by just taking care of myself for one day, not 2 weeks, not a month, one day. It was okay that I couldn't get out of bed. But today I'm here to be of service. And, I feel like a different person today because everything changes. Everything in our lives change. And I don't like it. I don't like change. It's very alcoholic of me, but I don't like it. But you know what? That's how life is. And today I live life on life's terms. And I'm so grateful to be here. And if you're, if you're new or you're struggling, reach out, let people in, because that's what I didn't do in the beginning, and it took me a really long time to get to this place. 23 years seems like a really, really long time, but I have to tell you, it's a flash. It's a flash. When you get to this point and you look back, you think, oh my gosh, how did I get here? It seems like yesterday that I walked into that meeting and saw Cathy sitting there. I thought she was an old-timer because she had a few years, and to me she was. But we all are the same. It doesn't matter how many years you have. All we have is this moment. And, we're all in this room, and, whether you're sober or you're not sober, you can make that choice and start your journey today. It's an amazing journey. I'm so grateful to be here, and thanks for letting me share.
My name's Cathy, and I'm an alcoholic. Hi. And thank you, Reva. Thank you to AALA. I think the convention's wonderful. It's probably what got me out of my self-centered fear. Not probably, it is. Being of service with AALA. My story is very different from Reva's. I didn't walk into the rooms and think, oh, I want to be sober. I wanted to get out of the doghouse. And because that was my motive for coming, I didn't stay out of the doghouse. I relapsed, and I relapsed for 3 years. Today, I don't believe I relapsed. I believe I was never thoroughly following the path. Because my experience is that since I made the decision with my sponsor, after my last relapse, to thoroughly follow the path, I haven't had to drink or use. I've had to not leave my apartment, because if I did leave my apartment, I might drink or use. But the thoroughly following the path was following someone else's direction, not mine. And that's what's allowed me to stay here, is when it comes to me, don't listen to me. The guy on the corner that's panhandling will give me better direction for me than I will give myself. And I learned that a long time ago. I mean, my head is out to win. And winning doesn't mean that it's going to get loaded. It will just take me out of the moment. And once I'm out of the moment and my guard is down, it could be game on in any number of directions. And, usually then I'm making amends, which, thankfully, if I stay out of my head and I follow direction, I just don't have to do all that often, because, again, it's not me. So if you've relapsed and you're back, welcome. Stay. But if you happen to go, come back. That is the greatest part of Alcoholics Anonymous. You need a desire to be here, and we welcome you back. And people will talk shit, and people will talk directly to you. They will talk behind your back. They will la 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 la. Let them. Sit down and listen. Do what somebody says that's not you. But if you really believe that people are gonna say, good job, screw it. Part of my staying here has been learning moment by moment that part of the way many of us stick around is the entertainment of what other people are doing. And if you fool yourself into thinking that's not going to go on, you're likely to be back out there. So, a long, long time ago in this 26 years, my sponsor told me, and this other sober man, Jack F., who worked at Van Ness House many, many years ago, and he said, Cathy, if they're talking about you, you're doing something. You only have to worry when they stop talking, because that means you've disappeared. And it's really true. Unfortunately, for whatever reasons, people talk a lot. And You know, what I've learned is, for my recovery, you know, I go to meetings where I am Cathy, an alcoholic, and they don't know anything other than I'm Cathy the alcoholic and whatever I share, and I'm not this mythical insanity. And, you know, it's really important. I mean, you guys, you know, and I understand people laughing, but, you know, the truth of the matter is staying here, being a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, being sober in this moment is very important to me. And if I forget for one moment that I'm an alcoholic, and I listen, I'm in trouble. You know, and there are many, many moments when I'm by myself in my car, and the truth is, people talk a lot of shit. And if I didn't have a connection to a higher power, and if I didn't have people that I could call that will tell me the truth, I would be screwed. So get a support group that will tell you the truth. I have 4 people. I've had the same 4 people for the last 14 years. I had a different group before that, but you know, we all that have been around a while went through a period where people came and went, and you had to be willing to get new support group people. So if you struggle with, you know, looking around and saying, I don't have 3 or 4 people besides my sponsor that know everything, do the work to get those people. Because there comes a time where you can't reach your sponsor. And you don't have time to catch people up on where you are and what's going on. It's like really important for me that I take the time to stay current. I can't expect people to read my mind. I used to do that a lot. I used to think you could just look at me and know what was going on and understand why I was at a meeting like shaking to death. And you know, the truth is we have to tell people. And I didn't get that. I was beyond terrified for a long time. I got a commitment at AALA to not be scared, because I wouldn't leave the 3rd step on the stairs at Van Ness House for 2.5 years. I would go to work at the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, and I would go back to Van Ness House. And I lived in different places, but I was too terrified to be out in life. And we were at the convention, and my sponsor said, you know, you just have to stand up. And, you know, that was the beginning of me getting out of my fear. I mean, I am very shy. I am very quiet. My life, not what people think it is very small. You know, it's moment to moment. When I step out, my life is huge. It's beyond my wildest dreams. I drank and used because I couldn't accept being gay. I couldn't accept that it was okay. You know, I have a family. Our son is very, very active in sports. And, you know, I'm out and about 6 nights a week with sports and other families and parents. And you know, I have to tell you, what Alcoholics Anonymous has done has reversed everything from what I thought. Because now, living the life in a principled way, and I actually carry the principles in my pocket every day, because to me, they're a shortcut to the steps. And I just have to look at that list, and I can remember, like, da-da-da.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think.
And I really work hard to live it. And these other parents, and a lot of them are the men that are, the dads are with these boys. And I have to tell you, I get asked questions all the time about parenting, living life, employees, how to handle this, how to handle that. and it's all a direct result of Alcoholics Anonymous. These Latino men who won't ask their buddy, like all of a sudden are asking me these questions. They call me up at home, and it's all because of AA. You know, we learn here how to tell the truth, how to live life, how to clean it up when we screw it up, which is the greatest gift in the world. You know, it doesn't seem like it when we're getting the direction from our sponsors in the beginning. But you know what? To not spend our lives looking over our shoulder, not wanting to run into somebody because we didn't clean it up, is such a great way to live. Imagine here at the convention if we were all like, oh, I hope I don't run into, oh my God, I hope they're not there. Calling and saying, have you seen so-and-so, are they there? I mean, you'd go nuts and relapse. I mean, how could you possibly stay and enjoy anything? And even here, conflicts happen, but you watch people get to clean it up. And then you run into them later in the day, and it's like you don't have to kill them, or you don't have to jump into the bathroom because you see them coming down the hallway. Like, it's just so clean. The spiritual energy that we get to live in is a gift. And you know, it's free as long as we're willing to work for it. And that's the tricky part. We have to do the work. You know, we all have today. We all have the same amount of time right now. We have up until 2:35 on Sunday. And the goal is, can we all get in bed and make it till midnight sober? And then wake up tomorrow morning sober. That's the great gift. You know? Am I willing to work for 24 hours to stay sober? I don't know when I got sober if I even had a concept of 26 years, or I didn't have a concept of 90 days. I can tell you that because I couldn't get there in the beginning. And so it's really, for me, simple. Go to any lengths to not have to make amends. Because once I finished my 9th step, which took a long, long time, I was done. I didn't need that feeling in the pit of my stomach anymore. So screw up, clean it up. Go to any lengths to find them. If I can't find them, do something nice for somebody else that's in the vicinity of something I had done not cool. In the beginning, for me, it was the grocery store. Patience was tough. I didn't get it. You know, and it wasn't about, like, the patience to be mean to people. It was like patience, like, life just happens. You can't speed it up. And through my sobriety, technology has attempted to speed life up. And I have had to be very conscious of not buying into that. I don't have to try to do life as fast as technology and those using technology want me to do it. I can do life at the pace of a pencil and paper, because that's how I was taught, and that's what works. I'm not willing to go as fast as they say we can go these days. It won't work for me. I'm not wired that way. I'm wired to go 24 hours at a time, and sometimes 1 minute, in one 5-minute segment, in one 15-minute, 1 hour, from breakfast till lunch, a meeting, till evening to a meeting. It has to be able to be that slow for me. And luckily I know that. And I hope that willingness doesn't leave me, because I do have a very healthy fear and have watched people that were on this panel or stood up with a lot of time relapse. And I don't want that. I don't want it. I'll stick here today and do whatever work I have to do today to go to bed sober tonight. Thanks.
Hi, my name's Ferol, and I am an alcoholic. My sobriety date is May 11, 1981, and my sponsor is Don P. of Long Beach. I would like to thank Angela. Thank you, Angela, for letting me participate. Well, you're going to hear one crazy lady. I don't have it all together. Let me quickly identify. I was a hippie, soul sister, hippie, lowrider, soul sister. And today I am amazed when I look in the mirror and see a little old white lady. That's what my daughter did when I told her that, because she's mixed. She thought that was hilarious. I was talking to Cathy earlier, and I'd like to share this. When I did get sober, it was by osmosis with the Van Ness house. My lover at the time, Christy P., was in the Van Ness house, and I came out to visit her. When she left the Van Ness house, she got, that's when it was on Van Ness Street, she got a little apartment close to it, and I would come out and visit her for weekends. And there was this man named there, Paul Farmer. And Paul would come over and visit Christy. And I still wasn't sober yet, so I was reading the backstories of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous because for some reason there wasn't too much reading material there. So that's about all I had to read. So I read the stories in the back. So they were interesting, and I find them interesting today also, even though they have changed because of the different editions. But Paul was sitting there, and I said, well, I think I would go to meetings if I had somebody to go with me in Long Beach, maybe. And he said, well, you go to the bar all by yourself, don't you? I'm like, the seed was planted then. It was so rude, but the seed got planted real good there. So, oh God, for the grace of God, I stayed, and my daughter was 11 at the time, and I want to tell you this little miracle here real quick because I'm not going to take up too much time. I had to have back surgery in December. And I came out of that and I was in so much pain. And when I went to my room, the nurse told me, well, you should have asked for pain medicine in the recovery room because we're changing shifts. So I got ghetto fabulous. And then my daughter told them, she's a recovering alcoholic, but you're not going to let her be in this pain. And when I went home, my daughter took care of all my medication and made sure that I was okay with it. And that's the miracle of Alcoholics Anonymous. Am I the type of person to have back surgery and not take anything for it? Hell fucking no. You guys do it if you want to do it. I'm not going to do it. That shit hurts. That's just the way that goes with me. The big book says talk to your doctor. Anybody else got something to say about it? Argue with the big book. So I need to tell you that I make mistakes in sobriety, and the ugly Ferol will come out. I hadn't seen her for a very, very long time, and I saw her yesterday. And what happened was I was upstairs and I was watching this Lifetime movie, and they had caught this killer, and they beat the shit out of her and killed her at the end. So I come down the stairs, And here's my ex with her new girlfriend.
All right.
And I'm like, what the, bitch? What the fuck you doing here? You know, this is my space. This is what I do every year. What the fuck you doing here? You know, and I went over and smoked, and one of my good friends I love severely, he said, it's got nothing to do about you. It's not about you. And I'm like, rah, 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 rah. You know, and somehow within 10, 15 minutes, God kicked in and said, it's not about you. You know, and you know, sometimes I hate Alcoholics Anonymous because I had to go up to her because it was in my soul, my spirit, and I had to look her dead in the eyes, and I had to tell her I was sorry for my behavior. Then I had to go over to the new pretty girlfriend with a body to kill for and tell her I was sorry for my behavior. You know, and I didn't feel good about it, you know, for a few hours. But I woke up with the sunlight of the Spirit this morning. You know, I woke up with God in my life. And so I'm just here to say that because I have 32 years of sobriety, I do not walk on water. But I need to listen to the men with more time than me so I can learn how to behave better and the ghetto don't come out when I go down the elevator. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Jeff, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Jeff.
I'm so glad a cute little white lady finally said the fuck word. I'm so glad someone said it. Who are these people here? They never fucked? I don't think so. So thank you for that. And thank you for getting all these old sober farts up here. You did a great job. Because when you called me, you said I was the first one that said yes. And like, do you know any other old people? So I gave you a list. I guess they weren't home, or you didn't call them. I'm really grateful to be here. The thing with being old is I came in from Palm Springs. That wasn't even supposed to be funny. And neither was that. I'm driving here, and I went to an AA meeting this morning. I go 7:30 when I'm here at Hollywood Gardner, and 8:30 at Sunny Dunes every morning. Depends where I am. Because I like to start off my day that way, and I had coffee and water, and I'm driving. And I finally get off the freeway and, Hollywood Boulevard and Highland, and fuck, I have to pee so badly. 64 years old, I'll be 36 years clean and sober August 31st, and this is what happens when you get to be an old sober guy. Thank God I had my coffee cup from the meeting. And I'm driving, and I'm worried about being late. Am I going to get here in time? And my pants are too tight, and I'm belted in. I'm here. So, and it's because of Jim Feldman that I'm here, because I was calling him. When I was talking to you on the phone, you didn't know I was peeing in a cup, but I was. It's like, oh, fuck. And I hate going to meetings I've never been to. I'm always going to be late or worried about being late. But I'm here. What's that Sondheim song? But I'm still here. And I'm really glad I'm here. And it's not about fucking 24 hours. It's different having a shitload of time. It is way different. Way different. There's an acronym for it, things I must earn. And these people here have earned their seat more than you have, because they're older and they're sober a long time. They're not better, they are older. And I'm grateful for that, because I need to hear people. I remember him. I can't believe he still has red hair. Is it real? Is it real? Prove it. Anyway, no, don't prove it. Do not prove it. But I remember Bill, and we were insane back then, and we were the we were the young ones. We really were. People were like us when we got sober, and we hung together. There were 11 of us. He was not one because he was a year or two older than us, and there were no young people's meetings or any of that. We found each other and held on and yelled and screamed and took each other's inventories, and just it was a horror show. Went to Architects of Adversity, and Richard the poet was fucking people over and throwing. It was insane. It's still insane. We were insane. I am still insane, but my insanity about drinking or using over my bullshit, my lies, and my feelings, I don't do that anymore. I do lots of insane behavior still, way less. And the first speaker shared about not being a part of and not feeling comfortable in her own skin. It's endemic in the big book of AA. I was 5'2", 185 pounds in junior high, the second shortest kid, born feeling not a part of. It's sort of what it is. But the truth is, I am different. I am special. And when I came in these rooms, I figured that one out. I'm an alcoholic. That's my specialty. Above and all and beyond all the other incredible specialness that is me, that's the one that will make me awesome, and that's the one that will kill my fucking ass. Kill me dead. It's like that. There's so many that don't make it. Way more than do, way more. So I know this as a disease. I'm reading this book called Clean, not AA approved, awesome book, about a guy whose son was a tweaker and a drunk and blah, blah, blah. Wrote about that. I think it's called The Beautiful Boy. His second book is called Clean, and he's doing all this scientific research about, he has a big chapter on AA, and it doesn't work for everyone. That's what he says, and that's true. And lots of other stuff. It's about dual diagnosis, being bipolar, being depressive, being all these other things. When Bill and I got sober, and probably you as well, don't take anything from the neck up. No, you're not sober. La, 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 la. Fuck that. They have new ways of figuring out what's wrong with my head. Now, I'm one of those old-timers who didn't do anything, never did anything. I got sober, I stayed sober. Relapse is not part of recovery. They say that in rehab places, so you keep coming back and give you insurance money. It happens. People slip. They have a disease. They get a relapse. But it's not what this program is about. And it's in the book. People relapse in the book. Bill W. Shitload of relapses before he had that moment with Ebby. This is about staying sober and how to live sober. That's what these 12 steps are about for me. But that feeling of not being a part of, I still have that today, right now. Not that I'm better than or less than necessarily, but I still have that because that is in my genes. My mind is wired. I loved how you talked about your hatred of the internet and cell phones. Well, I'm going wireless. I have a higher power, and I plug into that wirelessly. I just thought of that when I seen it. I thought it was brilliant. So I'm going to share it with you. It's true, though. I am wireless. I love the phones. I was, looking for my sex date tonight on my phone while I was sitting at the table here. This is part of what we have to keep going forward. We don't just live in the past and regret the past or shut the door on the past or deny the past. I go forward. I have to adapt what's happening in reality. Life is about that iPhone now. Life is about wirelessness. And you're shaking your head now. Well, fine. When your car's in a river and the waters are rising up, you'll be so happy that phone's got bars on it so you can call the cops and rescue me. That happened to me once. I didn't have a phone, but someone drove by, so they had a phone. This program is absolutely a gift. It's nothing I really did to earn this length of sobriety. It is a gift. But what I do to pay back that gift defines the quality of my sobriety. And if I don't pay it back, I will drink and use. There's one thing I learned in the beginning of my sobriety that I loved. I did all my 12 steps my first year. I got a sponsor, I think 5 or 6 months. 3 months I got a sponsor just like you. And at 8 months I did my inventory. And the 5th step was incredibly important to me because it allowed me to trust my sponsor, which then allowed me to trust in a higher power. That, to me, is fundamental. And the message is, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we carry that message of having had a spiritual awakening as a result of doing these steps to another alcoholic. That's it. Not that I'm going to be rich or keep my hair or survive my cancer that I had. None of that. I said, I won't drink or use if I give it away. And I keep it by believing in a higher power. And how do I do that? I pray. It's the third step. I have to give it over. Even if I don't believe it, I have to do that action of giving it away, of praying to God, of take it. I can't handle it. But today, I'm now much more of a believer of this mind. I'm reading Dr. Paul's book, There's More to Not Drinking Than Not Drinking. It's awesome. He's the doctor who shoots himself with sodium pentothal in the big book and then in his garage so he can get through the house to get to bed and pass out. That guy. All drugs, all the time, and he's a doctor, but it's in our AA book. Alcohol is a drug. Just know that. So don't think you're special because you only did crystal and you're sitting in this room and you don't feel part of. You're so part of it. You're the cause. And we're the solution. We're all each other's solution. And I need to know that too. I can't do it alone. Sometimes I don't have a higher power. The meeting's not always here. It's after 8:30. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. My big book's in the car and it's raining and I'm lazy. What do I do? And then God is not answering my prayers. What do I do? It says when all else fails, and Jim F. taught me this one as well as page 93, and I don't really quote the book. When all else fails, work with another alcoholic. Faith alone is not enough. I swear to God, it says that in the book, page 93, right in the middle. Faith alone is not enough. We have to take an action, and it's a sacrificial action. It's one that I don't want to do. Those are the ones that get me going, that keep me sober. Not the, I'm going to make coffee and everyone's going to go, oh, thanks for the coffee, Jeff, at the end of the meeting. That's bullshit. That's ego. Not a bad thing. Please make coffee. I'm addicted to coffee. But it's doing the shit we don't want to do when we're watching The Voice and the sponsee calls and The Voice, sponsee. I answer the phone. And I don't do it all the time. I have a really, I'm not Mr. AA at all. I have one sponsee at this point, but I'm still here. Again, I know this is a gift, and I'm not re-gifting it. I'm holding on to this one because this one keeps me alive. And people have to hear that you can have HIV, that you can have cancer, that you can have red hair all this time and still have hair, and be grateful for having this life that was a gift. For whatever reason, I don't regret or resent 1 minute of my life because I'm here right now sober talking to you. And I now know that is my primary purpose. I didn't know that coming in at all. Another thing I got to debunk, meeting makers make it. Fuck that shit. Everyone you know, almost everyone you know who slipped yesterday, the day before, they were probably in a meeting. That's the thing. It's not just about going to meetings. It's not just about looking good. It's not just about spouting the perfect words, reading the menu. You can't eat the menu. That's not the food. It's not the food. We have to give it away. We have to. Bill W. was compelled to find Dr. Bob. He was compelled. He doesn't even know why. We have to find someone else like us to cure, that's in the promises to, or the keys to the kingdom, to cure that incredible loneliness that defines my disease. Because if I do it alone, if I am alone, I have that feeling, it's just a feeling. I know now it goes away. But how do I do that? I have to take an action. This whole program is an action program, except the first step, the whole thing. So it keeps me busy, and when I got sober, I was really, really busy. And my sponsor never, ever once told me what to do. I had to ask. I was such a punk and rebellious. I had this giant Jufro. I was sort of a hippie. I'll show you the picture after. It's awesome. Really was awesome here. It doesn't matter. My mind's gone just thinking my stupid-ass hairdo from the past. Because you mentioned hair so much. Well, we came from that era. They did a huge hit, hair. It was a big deal to us. And now if Jim takes off his hat, you'll see what you don't have. Thank you, Jim. The thing is, as someone else said, stay. It is really about staying, not coming back. Stay. Be a good dog. Stay. Do what you're told. Stay. Now, if they had told me that, no way, I'd be out the door. But I have to change to grow. I have to. I have to transform. And the one thing I'm glad I just remembered, the thing I learned that I love a lot in the beginning of my sobriety was I can't think myself into right action, but I can act myself into right thinking or feeling. I'm having all these bad feelings. He did this to me. She did that to me. I got fired from my job. Another bout of cancer? Are you kidding me? What the fuck? I'm good. I'm sober. Why is this happening to me? Do I really have to go to Al-Anon? Oh, my God. I do. But I can act my way out of I can't think. This brain, this sick fucking brain is not going to cure me. I gotta go to my brain that's all fucked up and wired wrong to make me feel better. It didn't work then. That's why I drank, to make my brain feel better. So going to therapy, nothing wrong with therapy. It's all good. This is not going to fix me. This is the problem. I love my brain. I'm really, really smart and really clever, and I'm still an alcoholic. Big time, 3 drunk driving tickets. But I can act my way out of it. I can change my behavior, and then I'll feel good. If you're an axe murderer and you stop drinking, you're still an axe murderer until you stop killing people with an axe and feeling badly about it. If you're a psychopath, you don't have any feelings anyhow. But in normal life, I do bad things, I feel bad, I drink over them. Stop doing the dumb bad things. You'll feel better. Not only that, you have to start doing good things. Better things, and then you feel better, and then you can put that in the bank, and you hold on to those good feelings when the shit hits the fan again, and boy, does it. But you don't drink over it, and you share it with another alcoholic, so thanks for letting me share.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom?
Hi, my name is Bill LaValle, and I'm an alcoholic. I want to thank you very much for asking me to be here and serve on this panel, and I'm honored to be on this panel because several of these people have been in my life for many, many years. Yampo, who is my dog, he's my companion, he's my service dog, and so he's here. And he has to live with me, poor baby. I am an alcoholic now. Oh, and I love the fact that you said that relapse is not part of it. It's true. And I just hate that when people... I had a conversation with a girl outside a minute ago, and she said she was back X amount of times. I said, you don't have to say how many back. You're sober today, you know, whatever. And relapse really is not part of the program. Anyway, I know that a lot of you identify as addicts. You go alcoholic addict. I don't do that, primarily because I don't think I am an alcoholic addict. I think I'm just an alcoholic. The only pills that I did was Stelazine, Thorazine, Elavil, Meloril, Librium, Valium, Vicodin, Ambien, Temazepam. So I don't know that that counts. And I really only shot speed for 3 years. And so, I mean, all I have to show for it is one little black mark here. So that doesn't count, I don't think. I am multi-diseased, by the way. I go to Al-Anon because my son is 34 years sober. He's 51 years old. He's 34 years sober. My daughter is 16 years sober. My daughter-in-law is 16 years sober. My granddaughter, who is 16, I think is going to be an Al-Anoner because she's a fixer. My grandson, Dashel, who is 7, is marked with a big A on his forehead. I mean, he is headed here forever. We're an AA family. My granddaughter was in a preschool, and one day the preschool teacher asked me, she said, are some of you on one of those 12-step programs? I said, yeah, we're all on 12-step programs. Why? She says, well, that explains it. What does it explain? Well, when all the kids sing happy birthday, Cassidy had them all singing, keep coming back. I also have mental diseases. I am one of those who is sicker than others. I also have, I am a bipolar, depressive, suicide survivor. I'm not talking at the moment. They were saying something. I also have a problem with food. My top weight in sobriety is 298. My low weight is 125. At the moment, I weigh 268, and my goal weight is 110. And I don't see why I can't do that with the program. I mean, the program works. And I recently lost 21 pounds, and I'll tell you how I did it. I mean, it wasn't OA. Walgreens opened at my corner, and Walgreens sells chicken salad sandwiches, tuna fish salad sandwiches, ham and cheese, and peanut butter and jelly. That's all I eat, and I've lost 21 pounds. So you might try that if you're having, a problem. Plus, Walgreens is wonderful there. It's my absolute favorite. I go every day. They have a thing where you buy certain things and you get so many points. They've only been open since December, and I just cashed in 47,000 points. That should tell you if I'm compulsive or not. They keep track at Walgreens. There he comes. And I got lots of free stuff by my 47,000 points. I did that just on Friday, and I'm already back up to 6,000. It's all you have to do is take your disease and employ it in other places. That's all you have to do. And you don't drink and you don't use. Now, if some of you do decide to go out again, and some of you will, the one piece of advice, other than coming back, the one piece of advice I would really give you is do not, under any circumstances, have sex on a waterbed after you have used elephant tranquilizer. It goes on forever, and the pleasure just isn't there. I mean, you go, oh, God, when am I going to do it? Anyway, I love Alcoholics Anonymous. It's changed my life. When I was in the Van Ness house, but I was in the Van Ness house when I was 2 years sober. And Paul Farmer, God bless him, he took me in because I was on the street. I was living on the street. And I didn't do things like live on the street and all that stuff, drinking and using. I did it when I was sober. It's much easier then, as long as you don't drink. But I got into the Van Ness house when I was 15 months sober, just in case some of you are having mental problems or whatever. I was taken away from Ohio Street on Thursday night in a straitjacket to the locked ward at County General. And at County General, if you've been there, if you haven't been there, they have these colored lines. They have blue, they have green, they have yellow. The yellow one leads to the locked ward. And as I'm walking on the yellow, you got it. That's where I thought I was going. I thought I was on the yellow brick road, and I was headed for Oz. Judy was going to be there, everybody. Padded rooms just aren't that impressive when you think you're going to Oz, I tell you. I recently had heart surgery in December, and I would prove that my hair and everything matches. But when you have heart surgery, they have to shave you, and they give you a free Brazilian. I got a $50 Brazilian just by having a heart attack. That's fabulous. And also, you could also see it if you want to look at all the issues of Playgirl from the 70s. It's there too. And let's see, what else can I say? Yeah, like he's confused. I posed for Playgirl in the 70s. That's basically it. And that was the beginning of the era of facing forward. You know what I mean? You have to understand, I'm not well. I have told you my mental diseases. I'm not well. And the voices, they still go. They still go. But many years ago, many years ago, they all got together, and while I was asleep, they elected one voice, strong and full of information. And I would say not every day, but almost every day, it says, "You're old." Well, I am. I'm 75 years old, and I'm 37 years sober. Okay, I'll be 38 in June. But I am old. Then it says, you're fat. You're ugly. Nobody wants you. And you have a little bitty dick. I know none of that's true, but it talks all the time. Don't think it's going to go away. Fortunately, there's one over here that knows program, and it battles. They battle. Donald Madden used to tell us that as long as every meeting that you're sitting in and you are learning things about how to stay sober, your disease is sitting there learning how to get you drunk. So, you know, we have to be careful. We do have to work the steps. We do have to go to meetings. We do have to have sponsors. We do have to work with newcomers. But the main thing is, no matter what, you don't drink. You don't use, no matter what. I don't know if they still say that as much anymore, but they used to tell us that. They didn't care what came down the pipe. You didn't drink. This year, or the past 6 or 7 months, has been horrendous for me. In October, they told me that my sister, who had Down syndrome and was 7 years old, was going to die, and that was in October. In November, Jude did die. In December, I had heart surgery. And then in January, my son called us all together, and he's 34 years sober, and he told us that he had cancer of the liver and cancer of the kidney. And inside, I was quaking and going to pieces, just in little bitty pieces, just floating away. And fortunately, they dynamited the cancer in his liver. They took out 1/5 of his kidney, and today he's cancer-free. Thank you. But my head doesn't know that. I can't tell you how hard it is to stay in the now because it's so painful sometimes. And it's, you know, it's... Why he didn't drink, I have no idea. But because he works a damn good program. He goes to lots of meetings. He shares. He's got a sponsor who has had several cancers. And my little grandson, Dashel, nobody knew what to say to Dashel because he is a daddy's boy. And not too long ago, Dashel asked his father, asked Chuck, he said, I have a question for you, Daddy. And Chuck said, what? He says, when are you planning on marrying your baby's mama? Because they've been together 9 years, but they're not married. Well, once Chuck got the cancer, they decided to get married so that everything would be in order, you know. And Dashel came and he told me that we had a marriage in our family, Grandpa. And I said, I know. I said, your mother and your daddy. And he said, yes. And I said, well, you don't seem happy. He said, I wanted a big wedding. I wanted a big wedding. 7-year-old alcoholic in the making. Got what he wanted. It wasn't enough. Do you know what I'm saying? But anyway, they didn't know what to tell him about the cancer. So my son and Dana, that's his lady, I said to Dashel, you know, when God makes you, he makes you with all these beautiful flowers and plants that keep you alive and keep you going. And every once in a while, a weed comes in. And so they have to go in and remove the weed. And Dashel was able to accept that because it's something he relates to, because he's a gardener. And he told me after he heard that story, he says, Grandpa, do you have weeds? I said, no, I don't. He said, my daddy has weeds. And I said, okay. He says, they're going to take him out of him. I said, well, that's wonderful. He says, I don't have weeds either. I said, fine. But he's covering all the bases, you know. Another reason why I'm here, the lady who asked me to be here knows this story because I told her that several decades ago I was told I would never, ever, ever set foot in this convention and speak again. It's true. And I didn't really care, but to tell you the truth. But the reason was because they told me I had to register. And I said, okay, I'll register. And they said, and you got to pay $30. I said, I don't pay to speak. I just don't pay to speak. So they told me I would never, ever be here again. They're gone. And I'm here. And she gave me a scholarship. I got an AA scholarship. And the parking is only $11, which I hope they don't suddenly stick me with 30 because we're in real trouble if it's 30. Let's see, what else can I say? There's not much I can really say. These people covered it so exquisitely, all the things you're supposed to do. And when the people that are on this panel were new, and when I was new, most of the things that we sat around saying was, I mean, we just made no sense. Our tongues were just going all the time and not making much sense. But there were people like Donald Madden and Gail Wilson and wonderful people that took care of us. Now, I don't know how newcomers treat people with time now, but what was her name? Her husband produced Lenny. Joan Worth. Joan Worth said, when all of us got sober, we used to sit at the foot of Lou Ann Sims and those people and listen. She says, I work with newcomers now and they spit on me. So I don't know what your experience is, but let them spit. And by the way, if you're new, you're not the most important person in the room. I just thought I'd tell you that. From my viewpoint, I am. And I'm going to tell you something else, newcomers. While you sit here, there are people having their last drink right now, tomorrow night. They're going to be the newcomers, and nobody's going to save you a seat because it's got to be for the newcomer. So get over it. You know, you're not that special. I can tell you, and we can all tell you, we weren't special, but they herded us like goats or something, you know, from meeting to meeting. Oh, and this is something else you have to look forward to if you stay sober 37 years and you're 75 years. It's your keys. And you wear your keys around your neck because you cannot find them. I'm thinking seriously of carrying this for the rest of my life because there's going to come a day when I'm going to know where these keys are, but I'm not going to know who I am because I do forget. I mean, I asked my granddaughter one day to please come over and find the clicker that makes the pictures on the wall. Do you know what that means? She's so sweet. She came over and she said, here's the remote, Grandpa. Press this button and look, the pictures come on the wall. And you're facing that. But what you do is you don't drink no matter what. I think I've spread just about as much of the disease as I possibly can in this short time. So I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for having me. And I'm so thrilled to be with all of you. I cannot tell you. Thank you.
Thank you all. I'm easy light stuff. I'm the other Bill, and I met the original Bill. February 1958, speaking for my father's anniversary. For the newcomer, this works. The best thing that's ever happened to me. And I will just share one experience because the people who are involved in it are sitting here. I'm 77 years old, by the way, and I'm a rock star. And I have some nudes of me, too. I didn't have sex with a man until I was 62 years old, so there's hope for everybody. He was 31, so sometimes half measures do avail us. And I was going to move, and I've also had cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer. I've had more hands up my butt than Jim Henson's puppets. I'm going through fourth stage cancer of the bladder now. It could break through any day. It's goodbye, Bill. I just had pneumonia back east. I had 2 strokes, mini strokes, so I'm still here. Sometimes I recognize your face, but I can't remember your name, and that's why I wear this. People come up and say, hello, Bill, and I say, oh, that's who I am, I'm Bill. But I was going to retire to Palm Springs, the aforementioned Palm Springs, and I went down there to look at a property, and I found the property, a 2-bedroom, lovely. Ginny P was there to help me, and Alan K, who's sitting here, was there to help me. And I got a message from my daughter-in-law that my 11-year-old grandson said, "Grandpa can't move." She said, "Why not?" I used to pick him up at school all the time. And, "Grandpa can't move." She says, "Why?" "Because he's old, he's sick, and he's crazy." So I canceled all of that because God works through children. And now about people who have relapsed and keep going in and out, detoxes, rehabs I've known and loved. It is only suggested, I have not heard anybody since I've been here that picked up and used and came back here to let us know how fabulous their lives had become. Hasn't happened. Has not happened. And it's not necessary to ever go out there again. Never. You never have to go out again. There are people here who will love you if you allow them to, if you let them to, you know. And you can get sober with your clothes on. You get sober by sitting on your ass, not laying on your back with your legs in the air. That's what it's really all about. One day at a time. You know, when I had my heart attack, they were shooting me up with all kinds of drugs and shit, and I told the guy, "You don't have enough morphine in this hospital," you know. "So stop doing that, you're just gonna make me sick." He said, "I know what I'm doing," and then I threw up on him. And the next day when he came into my room in scrubs, you know, he said, "I know what I'm doing." I said, "Yeah, well, I know what I'm talking about," you know, and it was Thanksgiving. So I'm here because God doesn't want me and the devil won't have me. So there's Alcoholics Anonymous. Isn't that wonderful? Alcoholics, I go anywhere. People ask me, "What are you doing here again?" I said, "I came here because you obviously forgot it's all about me." You could hear the butts pucker in Denver. Yeah. Because they did tell me when I came in, I was the most important person in the room. I said, at last, people who have realized my quality. And I lived with a high fashion model for 11 years in Beverly Hills. I was like a pet chimpanzee. And I left her after 11 years. I said, "Call their lawyers. They'll never print the dollar amount that'll make me stay with you, you witch, one more day." And I came back to New York. And the windup is that they suggest you get sponsors. I suggest you get 3 of them in case you drive 2 of them to drink or some other substance. There'll always be somebody available for you to speak to. And it's only everything here is suggested. You know, when I came to meetings in a stagecoach, we didn't have steps. We didn't have any of these things, you know. We just had, "Hi, I'm Bill, and help another alcoholic." That's the whole thing. When I was 18 years, I went to Chandler Lodge. It's very important. Chandler Lodge. I walked in. I wanted to be anonymous. And Bernie from Brooklyn was there. And he said, "Oh, Bill, fabulous. It's your birthday." I said, "No, it's not my birthday. My birthday's in October." He said, "Oh, no, out here it's AA birthday. And back there, they're anniversaries. And you have to take a cake." And I had to take a cake. And there was a kid there sitting in the back row he was HIV. I didn't know what HIV was. I thought it was an office out here in California. And he was sitting behind my car, and he said, "Nobody will help me." I said, "I will help you. What do you need?" He says, "I need to go into Hollywood tonight." I said, "Well, where do you live?" He said, "In Canoga Park, right? Canoga Park." I said, "All right, I will come back and get you and take you to that meeting you need to go to." And of course, I was on the 101 in rush hour. No good deed will go unpunished. But teaches you patience and tolerance. And I got the kid in to Men Into Action. Yeah. And he says, "Oh, I don't see my friend." I said, "I won't let you go." I said, "Just come on, go up there." And he went into the kitchen and did whatever he did, told this lady, you know, how nice I was from Brooklyn, New York. And the lady comes flying out, you know, half flying, jewelry on and everything. Oh, hi. I heard what you did. That's wonderful. I said, I don't know what you people do in California, but when the hand reaches out, I am responsible in Brooklyn. And she said, well, I'm Terry Sue. A day that will live in infamy. And ever since then, love Terry Sue's service, power of example, you know, the whole 9 yards. Always wanted to be anonymous and came out here. You know, it says in the book that our lives, the road gets narrower. I was on a narrow path when I was out there. My life is huge today, absolutely huge. It really is, and I owe it all to you people, to everybody sitting in this room. RJ out there, you know, 27 years, Walter, Alan, you know, all the people that I know that are here, and Dennis, who I had to apologize to for my bad behavior, and the freedom to be, and that's what Alcoholics Anonymous gave me, the freedom to be. When I had sex with the guy, I flew back to New York. I was then in a relationship with Lynn, and I flew back, and her and I went to a meeting, and I said, I have something very important to tell you, you know. And so she says, yeah, after the meeting. So we go in, the speaker didn't show up. They asked me, and I said, well, I'm just had a new experience in Alcoholics Anonymous. I said, I just got back from California, and I had sex with a man for the first time in my life. You should have been there. You really should have been there. Now this is in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. And this is a very Irish Catholic stronghold. And Lynn said, you have to stop saying things like that. I said, no, I don't. I have to tell my own truth. We're only as sick as our secrets. I ain't got no secrets. So about 3 months after that, the prerequisite 90 days, a big Irishman comes up and says, Bill, is it true what I heard? I said, I don't know, what'd you hear? You had sex with a guy? I said, oh, that, yeah, you know. And he says, does this mean you're queer? I said, well, how bad do you want to find out? I haven't seen him since. Now, I did it once when I was 62. I didn't do it when I was 63. I did it twice when I was 64, and now I'll do it anytime I get a chance to. I'm old, not dead. And that's because of alcoholics. I owe my life literally and figuratively to Alcoholics Anonymous and all of you people, you know. I have sweaters older than a lot of you kids here. And again, the message is you never have to go out again, never, ever, you know. All this, listen to this panel. Everything you need to know is right up here, and it's in the book. Oh, I got to share about the book. People aren't going to love this, but it's the way it is. The Big Book Thumpers. There's John from Staten Island who thumped the Big Book, and he had a businessman, and he told the business, you cannot get sober unless you read the Big Book. You can't, there's no way you can get sober unless you read the Big Book. And, you know, which is fine, you know, nothing wrong with that, except that this man drank martinis. He owned his own business, had a secretary, very successful. And I met him coming out of Grand Central Station, and I had a sponsor who had a meeting there, and I took him there. And he says, I really don't have time to read the Big Book. I'm a busy man. I said, you don't have to read the Big Book. Wipe your ass with the Big Book. You know, he looked at me like I was insane, like they're looking at me now. And I took him to meetings where they, you know, they go around, they read the book, and every time it came to him to read or do something, he got up and got to go, oh, he didn't have his glass. I found he was a functioning illiterate. See? Today you hear tapes, you can do everything, you don't have to read, you don't have to write, you don't have to understand. All you need to understand is everything has been said. Do not drink or use, and make meetings and help each other. Love each other and help each other. That's all you need to do. That's all you really need to do. And also, in order to be 77 years old, stay on the right damn side of the soil. That also helps, you know. This place is fabulous if you stay. Fabulous. I lived in Beverly Hills. I found out being fabulous is very time-consuming and extremely expensive. AA is free to everybody who wants to come here and get it. And there are people, loving people. I love her. The people are here to help you if you want help, if you need help. And you can do detoxes I've known and loved, rehabs I've known and loved. That is a crock of shit. That is a money-making thing, you know. They say, bring it here, sit your ass in a chair, and if your ass should fall off, pick it up, put it in a sack, bring it to a meeting. Somebody here has needle and thread, they'll sew it onto you. Being alcoholics, they'll sew it onto your shoulder, shit through your ears. It's a whole new way of life, and it's only suggested. Thank you all, love you all. Cathy, you look wonderful. Oh, now they ask questions.
Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.